Hello there, lovely people, it's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today we're going to have a look at a rather interesting controller. It is the Hyperkin ProCube controller. This one here. If you hadn't already guessed, this basically is a Wii U Pro Controller, but with the button layout of a GameCube controller, and, well, it's an interesting little thing. It's a strange niche that I didn't even really think existed, but we're going to have a look at it anyway. First of all, what makes it different to a GameCube controller? Well, it's got additional buttons on the top here. It's got an L and R trigger. There's not even trigger, is it? It's got the triggers, obviously, but it's got the L and R bumpers up here as well. It has also got the function buttons on the front here. You've got your plus, your minus, the sticks click in, so you've got full functionality as you would with a Wii U Pro Controller. But there's also an extra button that is called Start Pause. Now, this is not the same as the plus button. It's not even a start button. You press it, and it's actually the power button, which exists, I know, on a Wii U Pro Controller. You use it to do that. I've just turned my Wii U on. It's nice to have this as a button on here, because if you just sat down on the sofa or couch or whatever you want to call it, and you want to turn your Wii U on, but it's all the way over there, you don't want to stand up, you want to power it on, and that's great, but why in the name of all that's good and great in this world is it called Start/Pause? Nevertheless, let's move on. Okay, how does it feel? Well, it's quite a comfy controller to hold. It does not feel exactly the same as a GameCube controller like this Wavebird that I've got here. It has slightly fatter, I suppose, handles here. They're sort of quite thin. People find them very comfortable, particularly the shoulder buttons, which is something that this is lacking. It's got the Wii U Pro Controller triggers, but it's still very comfortable. I like it. It seems to be a bit flatter as well. These were always notoriously rounded and sort of thin in that sense, but these are much flatter, as you can see here. In fact, I might do a close-up just now so you can have a really good look and see just how flat indeed it is. Really, it feels like halfway between a GameCube controller and a Wii U Pro Controller, which is what you'd expect, really, but yeah, nevertheless, it's worth mentioning in case you think it's going to be exactly the same as a GameCube controller, because this ain't. But what about the buttons, I hear you cry? Well, the buttons are nice. They've got a bit more travel on them than on the original GameCube controller, but really, it's no big deal. They're nice and sort of soft and relatively clicky, and I think I'm still doing things on my Wii U because it's still not been turned off. Generally, yeah, the triggers especially feel very nice indeed, actually. Almost slightly better than the Wii U Pro Controller one. I mean, they feel a bit plastically on the surface. Plasticky, I mean to say, but the actual sort of motion of them is really nice. The only big problem with the buttons is these shoulder buttons. They are rubbish. I'm guessing they're using these really cheap buttons that quite a lot of knockoff controllers use. I'm not saying this one is, but a lot of knockoff controllers do use these sort of very robust, and I mean, they will last forever, they will survive anything, but they are not comfortable to use, and that is loud. Sticks, on the other hand, they both feel very, very good, especially the C-Stick. This thing is exactly the same as the GameCube one, I say. It's just, I think the GameCube one is slightly softer. This one's maybe got a bit more spring back to it. It's also got the slight sort of nubbin design to it rather than the traditional analog stick layout. But we are going to talk about the analog stick, which in essence is the left stick in this case, because it feels fine. You know, it's got the little divots at the top here so that you can go with specific directions if that's what you want to do. The only thing is, with this one, for some reason, doesn't seem to be lined up perfectly, and there's some sort of soft resistance on the whenever you try and push it right. That is right, yeah. Honestly, it could just be this one controller that I've got. I don't know. It's not a big deal, to be honest, but you can feel it. I can feel it there, but in the middle of gameplay, you don't notice it. The D-pad. Oh my, the D-pad, yeah. It's not great. Much like the GameCube D-pad, it is very soft and fairly ill-defined. It is a bit better, it's a bit more defined than the original GameCube controller, but if there's one area you really should have focused on Hyperkin and improving, it's the D-pad, because this thing, it just really favors going in diagonals more than anything else. It really is difficult to just get a left, right, up, or down on this. In the video that I did, it was a Let's Play of all things. I know that's unusual for me. I actually tried to play Mutant Mudds with this thing. In the end, I had to go back to the analog stick because it is just not suitable for anything that requires really precise movement. I would say for games that use the D-pad for menu, like Xenoblade Chronicles X, perfectly sound. No problems there. But like Pokken Tournament, no, don't. How quickly did I get used to it? Almost instantaneously. I am used to using a Wii U Pro Controller a lot, and indeed I've spent a long time using GameCube controllers, and it took a moment or two, but realistically, you know, whilst some controllers take a while, like particularly the Wii U gamepad, when I first got my hands on that because it's so big, this really just, you know, picked it up within a few minutes, no problems there. Build quality is generally, it's alright, it's fine, you know, it's higher quality than most Hyperkin products, no offense to Hyperkin, but they do tend to sort of go with functionality functionality rather than build quality. Things like the Retron 5, great unit, but it is kind of sort of cheap and plasticky. This is fine, to be honest. I mean, the actual main body feels just like a GameCube controller, to be honest. Slightly less glossy, maybe a bit more textured. But the only thing is the buttons are very plasticky. Again, looking back at the original GameCube controller, these were very plasticky back then, so, you know, maybe they're trying to emulate that, but when you get this chance, you've got to improve upon certain things, and I don't know, we've moved on from plasticky buttons, I feel. You want to get something a little bit textured, a little bit like the rest of the unit. So is it a good controller? On the whole, yes it is. I really enjoy using it. It's very comfortable, it's a very familiar layout. I think the buttons are marginally closer than they were on the original GameCube, but that's being really, really picky. It's a comfy controller to use. I like the layout because obviously GameCube layout. If you're one of these sort of Smash Bros types and you want to be able to use a GameCube controller wirelessly, but you don't have the adapter and you don't have a wavebird like Muggins here, smug, then this thing is a really good investment. It's not without its drawbacks, but what controller isn't it? It's not quite the same quality as a Nintendo controller, but it is also considerably cheaper. So if you're looking for another Wii U Pro controller, just to have kicking around, or you like the GameCube layout, give it a look. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you switch back to YouTube's old layout, click that subscribe button, and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. This one's maybe got a bit more spring back to it.